Let me tell you something nobody really talks about honestly. You don't earn respect by asking for it. You don't earn it by being louder or meaner or pretending you don't care. You earn it by becoming the kind of person whose energy alone communicates, "Don't try me." And I know that sounds intense, but stay with me, because this isn't about becoming cold. This isn't about becoming hard to reach or hard to love. It's about something completely different. It's about what happens when you finally, genuinely stop being afraid of your own standards. Here's where most people are, and be honest with yourself when you hear this. You let things slide, small things. Someone makes a comment that cuts a little, you laugh it off. Someone cancels on you last minute for the third time. You say, "No worries." Someone at work takes credit for something you did. You stay quiet because you don't want to seem difficult. Someone speaks to you in a tone that will be unacceptable if you used it on them, and you swallow it again. And you tell yourself, "I'm just not the type to cause drama. I'm easygoing. I'm above it." But here's the truth that's sitting in the back of your mind right now, the one you haven't fully said out loud yet. You're not above it. You're afraid of it, afraid of the confrontation, afraid of being seen as difficult, afraid that if you hold your ground, people will leave. And the deeper fear, the one underneath all of it, afraid that maybe you don't actually deserve to be treated better. That's the real problem, not them, not the people who disrespect you, you. I'm not saying that to be harsh. I'm saying that because fixing the external stuff, the way people talk to you, the way they treat you, it starts inside, completely inside. Here's what I've noticed about people who carry themselves in a way that makes others naturally respectful toward them. They're not always the loudest in the room. They're not always the most intimidating physically. They're not aggressive. They don't go around with something to prove. But they have this quality, this settled, quiet quality. Like they've already had the argument with themselves and won. Like they know what they will and won't accept. And that knowledge isn't angry or defensive. It's just fact. It's just how things are. That quality doesn't come from a book. It doesn't come from a motivational speech, including this one. It comes from experience, specifically from the experience of choosing yourself when it was uncomfortable to do so, over and over again, in small moments most people won't even notice. Let me break down what this actually looks like in real life. The first thing is, you stop explaining yourself to people who weren't asking in good faith. There's a difference between genuine curiosity and someone baiting you into a justification so they can argue with it. You know the difference. You've always known the difference. You just kept engaging anyway, thinking if you could just explain it right, they'd finally get it. They're not trying to get it. They're trying to get you to doubt yourself. The moment you stop trying to convince people who aren't open to being convinced, something shifts. You start to feel this quiet authority in your own decisions. You stop apologizing for things that don't require an apology. You stop adding unnecessary qualifiers to your opinions. "I don't know, maybe it's just me," but no, you know. Say what you know. Let it land and stand still. The second thing, you let your silence do more work. People who feel insecure tend to fill silence. They rush to smooth over tension, to crack a joke when things get uncomfortable, to keep the energy light so nobody gets upset. And while there's nothing wrong with kindness and diplomacy, there's a version of this behavior that's actually just appeasement. You don't have to respond to every provocation. You don't have to react to every attempt to rattle you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just look at someone, let a beat of silence pass, and then continue doing exactly what you were doing. No anger, no performance, just stillness. Stillness is unsettling to people who expected a reaction. It communicates something they can't quite name, but definitely feel. This person is not available to be destabilized. The third thing, your follow-through becomes your reputation. You know what makes people hesitate before messing with someone? Not threats, not a bad attitude. Consistency. When people have seen or heard that when you say something, you mean it. That if you tell someone that's not okay with me and they do it again, something actually changes. You actually enforce it. Most people never enforce anything. They set a boundary, it gets crossed, they do nothing. They set the same boundary again, and the other person learns, consciously or not, that the boundary isn't real, that it's just words, just statements. When you start following through, even in small ways, even when it's uncomfortable, people update their understanding of who you are. They start to realize you're not operating on the same rules they might be used to, that you're serious. And people who are serious about themselves tend to get treated seriously by others. Now, I want to talk about something that trips people up constantly. A lot of people think that building this kind of mind, this kind of presence, means you have to stop caring what people think. You'll hear it everywhere. Stop caring what others think. That's where freedom is. And I understand the sentiment, but it's incomplete, and sometimes it leads people in the wrong direction. Because you can care what people think and still have an unbreakable sense of self. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive. The goal isn't indifference. The goal is to care selectively, to care deeply about the opinions of people you respect, people who love you, people who've earned a seat at the table of your life, and to be genuinely, completely unbothered by the opinions of people who haven't. That's harder than just not caring, because it requires you to know the difference, to be discerning, to actively decide whose voice matters to you and why, and to stop handing that level of access to everyone who has an opinion. Here's a practical way to think about it. Before you let someone's words affect you, ask yourself, would I go to this person for advice on this topic? If the answer is no, then their opinion about you in this area genuinely has no weight. It doesn't matter. Not because you're dismissing them as a person, but because they don't have relevant information or earned authority to speak to your life. Once you start filtering it that way, the noise drops dramatically. These aren't things you force. They're not performances. They come naturally as a byproduct of what's happening internally. When you're no longer running quiet background anxiety about whether you're acceptable, whether you're too much, whether people like you, your body relaxes into itself. And people feel that. People are always reading each other. Always. You're reading the people around you constantly, even when you're not conscious of it. And they're reading you. And what they pick up from someone who has genuinely settled into themselves is something that registers below the conscious level. This person is grounded. This person knows who they are. Proceed carefully. I want to be straight with you about something though, because this conversation would be incomplete without it. This isn't a linear process. You won't read this, feel inspired for a few days, and then permanently never be bothered by disrespect again. That's not how it works. You're going to have moments where you still go quiet when you should have spoken, still absorb something that you know you shouldn't have accepted, still replay a conversation at 2 a.m. wondering why you didn't say the thing you actually wanted to say. That's okay. That's not failure. That's the process. The thing that changes over time, gradually, almost imperceptibly, is your baseline. What you consider normal, what you consider tolerable. Your standard for how you'll be treated starts to rise, quietly, and then everything below that standard starts to feel increasingly foreign. You start to notice faster when something's off. You start to trust your instincts more. You hesitate less before you draw a line. And eventually, not immediately, but eventually, your life starts to reflect it. The people who couldn't respect you drift away because you're no longer making it comfortable for them to stay. The people who recognize and value what you bring move closer. Your environment starts to match your internal state. So where do you actually start? You start today. You start with the next uncomfortable moment, not the big dramatic confrontation, the small one, the comment that lands wrong, the situation where you normally let it go, stay quiet, smooth it over. You don't have to explode, you don't have to make it a scene, you just have to say the true thing, calmly, clearly, without apology. Actually, that's not okay with me. I'm going to need you to talk to me differently. I'm not available for that. Simple, direct, and then you hold the discomfort of having said it. You let the awkward silence be. You don't rush to soften it or walk it back. You said what you said, and you meant it, and now it exists in the space between you and another person as fact. Do that enough times and something changes inside you. You start to trust yourself. And the thing about self-trust, it's the foundation of everything. Every ounce of real confidence, real presence, real strength of mind comes from a history of proving to yourself that you'll have your own back when it matters. Nobody respects a person who doesn't respect themselves. Not truly. They might perform respect out of social courtesy, but deep down, they can feel the absence of it in you, and they respond to that signal accordingly. Change the signal, change everything. Build a mind so strong that your calm is intimidating, that your silence has weight, that your no means something, that your boundaries aren't requests, they're facts. Not because you want to intimidate anyone, not because you're trying to dominate or control, but because you finally decided that you are worth protecting, that your time, your energy, your peace, these things are valuable enough to guard. You're not building walls, you're building standards. And standards, real ones, the ones you actually live by, they're the most attractive and the most respected thing a human being can have. Start there, today, in the next 5 minutes, in the next conversation. Your mind is yours to build. Start building it stronger.